Hello everyone, and thank you for once again coming to join me in this channel where we talk mostly on amazing tutorials. We've done Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, we're into communication now. We are diving very deep into content creation and some of the ways that we can use to enhance better content that we do produce on a daily basis in our productions. So today I'm going to be diving deep into something that we call persuasion, and it is just something that it's a tool that everybody, if they were to include into their productions, it will add something that will enhance acceptability, and that thing we call, if appealability is also an English word, you know, the appeal will be more into the people who are actually watching your content will be more appealed to continue watching segments and series that you will be always producing, because the technique is very persuasive in nature. So what is persuasive and what is actually the power? Persuasion is a communication technique that appeals to the human emotions. We've seen politicians using this kind of thing every single day. They target into the thinking that we normally refer to as wishful thinking, not critical thinking. Majority of people just want to wish to have something good, and the politicians manipulate that wishful thinking to persuade them into doing something that is actually not realistic. Sometimes they appeal to you with those kind of narratives. So persuasion is a technique that is used in communication to lure people into changing specific beliefs, ideologies, emotions from one point to the other. If it was negative belief towards specific themes, topics, emotions, you're moving from that negative emotion into a positive. You're making it feel better. And this persuasion comes in contact with how we talked about mapping, how you map your audience. So a specific segment of your audience that you've already mapped, we said, for example, if a specific set of youth like smoking because they feel stronger and they feel stronger and of the same level with their peers, they would continue feeling like they should continue smoking. That is a segment that you can take into that, a section of map, and then you apply persuasion technique to move this bad habit of smoking, to make it feel, because the thing is you need to focus into three elements of learning. The first one is skills, the second one is knowledge, the third one is attitudes. So if the feeling, the attitude that these young people, these youth are feeling is an attitude of superiority, an attitude of look alike with my peers, an attitude of method, you know, I'm the same level with my fellow youth who smoke. Change that positive look alike, that positive, according to them, they think that is a positive thinking, a feeling. Change that attitude into being a negative attitude, so that they feel bad, they feel they are feeling strong because they smoke. Make them feel weak, make them feel because they're depending on their peers to justify them, to satisfy their negligence and that kind of satisfaction. So just changing that from a positive feeling that they were feeling into a negative feeling that actually resonates with them. It has to be resonating with the audience. So these areas of learning, if you're talking about knowledge, is when you want to persuade people by giving them knowledge, you'll have to provide credible information from credible sources. So we have role models, we have celebrities, we have community leaders, we have experts, and then you have peers. When you use credible sources to instill information into your narratives, you will be persuading people using knowledge. You can use these credible sources to also instill skills, to provide skills For example, people go to online platforms to study from people who are renowned. You are on this channel because you want to watch some information that you are unaware of, maybe you are aware of, you just wanted to revisit this information. And other people change attitudes by using credible sources. If you have somebody who was also maybe a victim of certain human abuses, and they have overcome that, that is a credible source to use that particular person's narrative to persuade people to stop perpetrating such kind of acts. So using victims, this is a credible person. Using experts who is a psychiatrist, for example, doctors who are maybe psychologists, to counsel people into stopping bad behaviors, they are credible sources because they have facts. If you use celebrities who have large masses, you go on Twitter, you go on social media, influencers, you can talk to those people, they can communicate the information that you have to a large mass of people. And that's what people rely on. And if you look at peers, people like us, a young person can speak to another young person in a way that they will be able to persuade them, in relation to if you use an older person to communicate the same kind of information. It might not be of any impact. So credible sources are very important. The other thing is emotional appeals. You need to also consider emotional appeals in your persuasion, because you're trying to lure people from specific habits, specific biases, because everybody has their own biases. So, for example, somebody believes in a specific ideology. You want to change the emotional appeal that they have. They feel strong into having those kind of things. Like, for example, we talk about tribalism. There are people who feel so strong in their own tribal cocoon. So if you try to persuade them, they will tend to be repulsive to your own narrative. So using persuasive narratives can help you to target into these particular people with their biases, to move them from this narrative, from this particular set of group, specific ideology that they have in their own selves, into another set of ideology by using something that we call emotional appeal. The last one has to do with logical approach. It has to resonate with these particular people. It has to at least provide some sense of satisfaction. If somebody was doing a bad habit, according to you as a content creator, you want to change from this habit, because remember, we are in the field of art. Art is used as a communication agent. So if you're trying to communicate to people, it has to be something that is not going to waste their time. It has to be impactful to their own lives. It has to be something that is not just going to make me sit for 1 hour, 3 hours, 45 minutes, and then I'm not learning anything. I'm not gaining any knowledge, any new insight from that. I'm not changing any ideologies from that particular piece that you provided. You need to be providing logical information that is resonating enough to these particular people that you're targeting to. So after that, when you've already understood the 3 elements of persuasion, whereby you talk about credible sources, you talk about logical nature of your narratives, it has to be logical, and then you're talking about the emotional appeals. Now you are going to talk about something we call an aim statement. Remember, before we talked about a target statement, we've talked about mapping, where after you do your mapping, you have to come up with your own target statement. So you take a section of that map, and then you create a target statement based on that section, and then from that target statement, you create something that we call an aim statement. An example of a target statement would be some group of young people like smoking because it makes them feel stronger and much acceptable among their peers. That is very clear. A target statement based on that particular set of. So you've seen that we have a very defined audience, which is some young people. They like a freely chosen behavior, which is like smoking, because they think they are more accepted among their peers. So we have the influencers who is their peers. Now that you have a target statement, you have to go to now formulate something that we call an aim statement. An aim statement, you're just going to refute that. So plainly, I want to persuade young people who like smoking because it makes them feel strong and much accepted among their peers to stop smoking because it makes them weak, childish, for example, and not of any influence to the community. So you're just changing these particular elements, the feeling which was they feel strong, you're changing it into being, it actually when you smoke you feel weak, you're changing into you feel childish, you're not a role model, your peers, you're not the same level with your peers, you see? So you're not a role model in the society. So they will feel like I'm involving myself into a habit that is not of any direct positive impact to my community. It makes me feel weak, it makes me feel like childish, it makes me not as strong as I used to think. So you've already changed the ideology. So when you go onwards to create a particular video or a feature story, you are going to be focusing on this particular narrative. So you're aiming to find somebody who is credible to communicate this particular aim statement that you've just done. That's very clear. After you do that, you will have already achieved something that we call a persuasive communication technique in your own production. So until we meet again in the next productions, this is me. Thank you so much. Subscribe to this content if you like it. Share to more people as much as possible. Thank you so much.